Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's going on at exactly the same time.
Whoops. Howdy. Coach Fisher, you were on mute. Matt, can you fix that? All right. Do you want to start us off with an opening statement, Coach?
Yeah. Before we get going, I'd like to say congratulations to Gary Blair and Lady Aggies last night on a terrific win and a third straight Sweet 16 appearance in a row. Man, that was a fun game to watch. That was a tremendous effort by the ladies to come back and persevere and make the plays when they had to make them. That takes a lot, and they've had a heck of a year. And those kind of games you win when you go on and make a big run at that thing. You pull those kind of games out and going through a tournament. It's demanding and physical. And the year they had, it's a great accomplishment. And to Pat Henry for the ladies indoor track team, finishing second in the country in the indoor meet, which was I know they has set some records and did some things in some individual events. It was a tremendous accomplishment. So hats off to those guys and congratulations. That's a heck of a deal. Starting off with us football, it's great to be back. Great to be talking with you. Great to get back in the football frame of mind as far as X and O's and on the field. And we've had lots of meetings, lots of workouts, things like that. Team's done a really good job in the off season. I think we're in good condition. I think we've worked hard, and I think the standard of excellence in which we have set and we believe in the work ethic and incorporating the new enrollees, the freshman enrollees, and in our program, getting them acclimated and things. I think it's been a very good transition. Some of the older guys have done a great job helping those guys, and young guys are working hard. Some of the older guys who have had great years, didn't seem like they're resting on their laurels, are lifting, running, getting things in position where they can have a very good spring and understand the importance of spring ball for us and the development in which we have. We've got a new football team, and everybody's going to say, well, you know what, last year you're going to build it. Well, you build on it, but you got a new team. Every team has its own personality, has a 1-year life expectancy. That team's only together 1 year. So it's got to develop a work ethic, a standard. You talk about the culture of the organization. We have that up there, but each team, like each child, you have 3 kids in a house or 4 kids in a house. 3 think one way, 1 thinks another. I mean, sometimes, and you got to get everybody on the same page, and that is part of the leadership and culture of what us as coaches and our leadership of our team has to do. And so hopefully each of those guys will accept that, and they'll develop a tremendous winning culture and a tremendous attitude and a relentless competitiveness that won't let them fail. And I think that's a big part of it. I mean, when you get down to the things of the championships are made of, there's a lot of things that go in, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of sweat, it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of guts. And that's what it gets down to, how important it is to you. And you'll be able to prioritize and put priorities in place. You personally, you academically, you athletically, and develop yourself as a person, because the same guy you are off the field, the same guy you are on the field, and learn to get good at things you don't always like. It makes you grow as a person. It makes you grow as a player on the things you do like. So hopefully those traits are coming into play, and we'll see as we develop. But very excited to get the guys on the field. We're ready to get them out there and where we go and just develop the identity which we have. Like I say, defense, we got a lot of guys back. So hopefully the experience there will pay off, but they can't relax and say, hey, experience is one thing, but you got to go make plays. And hopefully they can expand and get better on the things they've done and bring the new guys along offensively. Got a few more holes to fill. Got an offensive line group. We lost a lot of guys on, but feel very good about the young, talented players we have there. Really like those guys, and they're going to get a chance to get out there and get in different positions and different setups and different, personalities that work together and see how that works and develop that chemistry in that O-line. Quarterback's another. We had Kellen. We've had a 3-year starter. So we got a great competition going there, and some guys that can lead and take over this team. We got a lot of returning guys at the other positions, at tight ends, at receiver, at running back. So hopefully, and those guys, they can help those 2 groups by expanding on their roles, really doing what they're supposed to do, help them and expand their games in a lot of ways. And so they don't rest on their laurels. The guys that had great success, and the guys who are young keep pushing those guys to take starting jobs. And then, our specialists are all back again too, our snappers and our punters and our kickers. So in that regard, hopefully we can keep expanding in that role. I thought we did a really nice job in the kicking game last year. And that, keep working with our different returners and return games to keep expanding on that role and keep becoming a good special teams team, because you have to be good in all 3 phases to have a good football team. But like where we're at, now it's finding what goes on in the field, these 15 practices. And like I say, there's not going to be anything concrete when you come out of spring, because we're going to experiment in different places, different players in different things, different spots, expanding roles of some guys that are here, see what they're capable of handling. Putting other guys in different roles, we'll do a lot of that. But at the same time, hopefully we'll get better fundamentally and the things that make you a good football team, and the day-to-day basics of blocking, tackling, taking care of the football, and doing those kind of things. So we're excited to be there, and we're looking forward to it. Questions?
All right, let's go to Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Coach, I got 3 quick ones. First,
Dang, you get
how
3 at
healthy
once.
are y'all?
Is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to get 3? Take a vote.
Hey, worth
Is he
a
allowed?
shot.
Is he allowed to have 3 questions, guys? Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Oh, your question just got cut now. Now go ahead.
I just saw a bunch of like Gig'ems or something.
No, I saw dig him down.
What's the injury status, or how healthy is the team, and especially guys like Cup, Chapman, Buckley, Luke Matthews?
Well, I'll get that right now. We got it right here. Guys that'll be out for the whole spring will be Chapman, as he's recovering. His will come work probably. He'll be fully healthy about the end of it. So there's no sense of that, so he won't be in there. Grayson Reed, Blake Smith, who tweaked a knee in his rehab. He did some meniscus damage. His main part of his knee is good. Wiedemeyer cut a finger and a hand on a freak off the field accident. They required surgery on a tendon, and it's all fine. Just got to get it stretched out. He can't take any hits or anything on it. And Trey Zune, who had been hurt and at the end of his high school career, is just rehabbing off a knee. He'll be good when by the time spring or early spring's over. Those guys will be out. Everybody else will be back into spring and practicing.
Gotcha. And then where do you foresee Kenyon Green working, and where do you ultimately think he'll land?
Everywhere. I don't know. Everywhere. I mean, he'll play guard. He'll play tackle. He can play center. He can do that too. So you can't have enough centers and developing guys in there to calls, and we'll put him in a lot of different. Kenyon's a guy. Not all linemen you have those capabilities. Kenyon does. He can play center, guard, or tackle, and we'll incorporate him in at different spots to see where he fits, and also where it fits for him and where it fits for our team to have the best possible 5 guys on the field at one time.
And then finally, was Damon Demas suspended, and what's his availability leading into?
He was suspended from the school thing, and they're having a meeting on that. With normal procedure, which has nothing to do with us, school procedures, and when that gets cleared up, then he'll be back in action with us.
So until that clears up, he won't be at spring ball.
No, but that meeting, I got to check with the academic people, not academic, but our school people when exactly that meeting is. We'll know. But I mean, if it's before, before. If it's not, it's not.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Brenton Swerdeman from the Houston Chronicle.
Jimbo, how much are you looking forward to mixing and matching on that offensive line to replace 4 starters, and also on the progress of Luke Matthews as well? Because there's so many young, talented players. I think there's a really good group of guys there. I'm anxious to see how they fit and how they fit with each other. Like I say, the talent is there. There's no doubt. So very excited. But experience is one thing that, you got to, and hopefully you can get them to where they need to be for the most of the time, but you've got to mix and match to try, because coming out of spring, it's important we understand who can play, and then we'll keep developing that chemistry as we go. But Luke has done well. He's come back, he had a shoulder injury that he should be fully go on. In our walkthroughs and things we've been able to do right now, very intelligent, really has grown with his understanding of the game and what a center is responsible for, which up front, making all the calls and the thing, has a really, really good understanding, in my opinion, of what to do. And he's developed physically too. I think he can be a good player. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Olin Buchanan from Texas.
You're muted. You're
Sorry.
muted, Olin.
Bill, it doesn't say so.
Is he back? There you all right. You all right there now? I just couldn't hear you.
Huh, okay. I want to start off asking about Devon Odchain. Will he do anything in the spring, or is he just straight track guy?
No, we will. We'll have meetings, and there'll be things when he comes over, but we'll also work with track and how success. Now, if he's having tons of success, we're not going to do anything that makes him not run well in the meet. He has something that's very important to him and he's very good at. So, but we'll work, which I've done before. I did it with Jalen Ramsey was a guy who did that. When we were at LSU, Xavier Carter was there. Trenton Holiday was a guy who did that. Benny Brazil was a guy who did that. So they went back and forth, and we've had quite a few. Jameis was baseball. Tyrone Easton was baseball. We've done that with quite a few athletes in the past. So we'll work with that. If he's having scoring points and being successful and having success, which I think he did last week, the first meeting. I think he got SEC Freshman of the Week last week in track, which congratulations to him. Keeps progressing, but we'll also make sure he understands what's going on, whether it's meetings or partial workouts or partial practices or whatever it is, according, and if it affects how he's running. So that's always a play it by ear based off schedule and things that go on.
And I know Derek Hunter changed positions. Are there
Yes.
other guys that you are going to be looking at this spring at a different position than maybe you did a year ago?
Yeah, all of them. I joke about that. I'm serious. You'll see inside receivers outside. You'll see them in the back. I think that's one of the things that you have to be able to do now. Offensive line guards playing tackle playing guards, and as you recruit guys, and safeties that play nickel corners that play nickel, corners that play safety. I mean, because I think in the secondary too, it's become like basketball. It's a matchup game. So constantly matching those guys. You'll see DNs at D tackle, D tackles at DN, or whatever, depending on pass rush games or what you're trying to do. Linebackers that play Mike, Will, and Sam. I mean, they've got to be able, because sometimes you're in no huddle, you can't flip-flop guys, or if they formation you, you're constantly changing, making those guys. And not only can they find out if they can play it, it's important for them to know what the guy beside them doing. Like one of the greatest things about, when you play Mike or Will and as a linebacker, all right, if you're not there all the time, but you at least know what that guy's responsibilities are, helps you be better at your job. When you play guard and tackle, all right, things at tackle that, I'm taking care of me. Well, if I get that look, that really hurts the guard. You know what I'm saying? And do I got to help him on this play, and guards to tackles and centers to guard? I think the intermatching and intertwining of things doesn't always mean when you're going to be, but I think at the position you end up at, sometimes it helps you grow there because you have a really genuine understanding of what that guy beside you is doing. So in certain looks, when he needs help, when he can be soloed, things like that, I think it makes a big difference. So we'll do that with all of our positions.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Mike Lucas from KAGS.
Hey, Coach, when you go into an off-season spring ball with a quarterback competition at hand, is there a guy that in the back of your mind you want to take the reins and grab the position, or is it truly an open situation between however many guys are competing?
It's an open competition. I've learned not to do that over time. I mean, I really have. I mean, because like I say, what you think and just let things play out, let things happen, and your actions speak so loud I can't hear what you're saying. What you do, how you do it, and gives each guy a fair chance to do it, and how guys respond. Because football is a game. I always say this at quarterback. One of the things we don't talk about, he can throw it, he can run it, he can think, he can make decisions. Well, how does he get all 11 guys to act around him? I always say this about Tom Brady. To me, the greatest attribute he has is his team camaraderie, how he fits 11 guys and makes them want to play and do things. It's not only about it's the example he sets. And I think that's a big part of that. It's underrated. The unselfishness of those guys and the ability for them to get guys to rally around them, not only offensively, but defensively. All that matters. How your team plays is how he looks at that quarterback. And there's a lot of things that go in that. And, guys change, guys grow. What I saw last fall may not be what I see in the spring. And what I see in the spring may not be what I see in the fall. Guys develop and change. And I think that's the exciting thing about young guys like this. So there's no set pattern or no set, you'll be reps. We're all going to get the same amount of reps. And we're going to see, who can lead, who we think takes snaps can give our team the best chance to win.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next up is Mark Passwaters from Rivals.com.
Jimbo, got a couple of quick questions on the defense. First, with so many returning starters, does that make the approach for spring ball any different than it would be otherwise, or is it just business as usual in that respect?
Well, you'll be busy. You still got to go back to fundamentals, and you may put in some more schemes and things they understand, or tweak a couple things, or allowing older guys sometimes can work on more things that the opponent does. But we'll have parts of that with the offense too. It doesn't matter. They've got to get educated on what opponent will be. Parts of our spring that are based off breakdowns we have of our opponents that we think we need to get introduced to our players in different parts of spring now. We'll always do that, and we'll do it in fall camp all the time too. So when it does come game week, it's not something new to them. But I think sometimes that's where you can get in trouble. I really believe that I got experienced guys, and you assume they do things. You assume this fundamental's right. You assume that's right. And all of a sudden you start getting away from strengths and things you do well. And all of a sudden you don't do them as well. So I think you got to make sure that you keep doing the things you do well and then expand as you need.
How surprised were you that Miles Jones and Michael Clemens decided to come back? And, how important is that to the overall defense going into 21?
I think it's very important. I know Peavy, we had other guys. Peavy did it, and some guys over there. So, I think it's very – Hansford did it. I think all those things are very good. But to me, it shows their maturity. I mean that, certainly when I get to the NFL, but do I want to get there? Do I stay there? How long can I stay there? Maybe guys recognize that there's parts of their game that they're really taking off now and can expand and grow. And where they go into the league, where they get drafted matters. People don't understand. It's not just, I can get in the league. Okay. But where you go in matters. Your contract matters. The amount of time. It's like anything. When you're drafted high, guys are going to spend more time with you if you're doing the right thing. If you're a lower draft pick, you don't get those things. They're not invested in you very much. And I think guys saw that they have a chance to still improve and enhance their value going in and maturity of what to play and help their game. And I think it's a very good decision for them. Not selfish, but I mean, I truly believe they could grow. If there wasn't nothing they could get better at, I wouldn't let them. I'd tell them they need to go. I really would. I mean, I think that's part of it. And I think those guys made mature decisions.
And last question real quick. One guy you do have to replace is Buddy. Is it a safe assumption to say that Andre White's going to be the guy out there first with Hansford?
I can't say it nowhere. Yeah, we'll see what they do and how they play each and every day. I mean, he played a lot last year and did a really good job for us. But at the same time, he definitely could be very easily. But he's got to go out and play and do what he has to do each and every day to perform that way. And there's nothing in the offseason says he can't, but there's a lot of other guys that I see pushing behind that want to play too. So that's a great thing about competition. And there's always competition. I mean, there's no job set in stone. So we're going to find the best group of players that allow us to be successful.
All right, thanks. Beard looks good too.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Sam Kahn, who is now with the Athletic.
Hey, Jimbo, I wanted to follow up on A-Chain. What do you, after seeing what he did in the bowl game and his progress in his freshman season, what do you think the ceiling is for him?
I depend on what he wants. Ceiling ain't what I think. It's what they think and what they see themselves is and how much time and how prioritized it is. Now, he's a hardworking young man saying all that. Very quiet. Doesn't say 2 words to yes, sir, no, sir. Does his job, hustles. I mean, I think he can be an excellent player. I really do. I think he got a chance to be an excellent player in a lot of different ways. And like I say, we're just scratching the surface of things he can do, in my opinion. But, you know, the thing that makes him unique, I truly believe this. I truly believe he's a football player who runs track. I don't think he's a track guy who plays football. And he has a natural ability to play the game of football. And when you watch a lot of guys that are really, really fast have a tendency to do everything fast. He doesn't. He's under control. He has a good pace to himself. He understands he's a natural runner, and he applies it when he has to. And he's very strong. He's much stronger than you give him credit for and how he runs. If you really watch those runs and things he does and catches the ball well. I mean, another thing he did, man, that sucker block you. You think, I mean, that guy put his nose on you now. He'll put it right in the middle of you. I tell you what, we got 2 5'4" guys, him and Anais, that'll block the heck out of you. I tease him all the time. No, I'm joking. But 2 little guys like he said, well, them guys can't. You go watch them pass block. You go watch them hit. We got guys like that, and that's one of the things that really impressed me about A-Chain. Not only his patience to running, but his ability to be a blocker and a pass blocker, not even when he's going out, was very, very impressive.
Do you think he's versatile enough to take on as many roles as somebody like Anais has down the road?
Well, we'll see. I mean, and that's also feel for football, knowledge, ability to learn and do things, and we'll see. I mean, but he's a very capable. There's no doubt. We'll just see where those roles go to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Daryl Bruffett from KBTX, and then we'll go Jenny Streeter.
Coach, first, I got a couple of questions for you. Can you talk about the correlation that you see between high school seniors who take care of their business athletically and then how that kind of translates into their success athletically?
You mean academically? You said
yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Academically, you know, they're good in the classroom, and then that translates to how they're good on the field.
Well, you know, the best players I've ever had, and you may not like school as well as you like ball. I didn't, but I did well in it because I was taught that you got priorities of things that are important, that you have to do that. And I think that's one of the things that you know, hopefully we can teach guys. Now, some guys come in that academics is just as important or more important than athletics. Nothing wrong with that either. I mean, but you got 2 things you need to do well. And I think the key to all that is prioritizing. We say sacrifice. It's not sacrifice. You know, sacrificing. You're prioritizing what is important to you to be successful in your future as a person. And then, because like I say, one day the air is going out of that ball, but there's no doubt the guys who usually are good, you know, you see a great correlation between great players. Great players I've been around do everything well. And they act right. They do right. Academics is important. They do well there, off the field, leadership, and they play well. And I always say this, when you get good at things you don't like, it's amazing how good the things you do like enhance and become even better. And you grow as a person, you grow as a man. But there's no doubt.
Can you also talk about how the coronavirus has affected kids and maybe benefited them and causing them to be better students and also prepare better for competition because they have to be more focused?
They do have to be focused. I mean, you always have to be focused. I think the one thing that Corona is taught, I think self-responsibility, because you are on your own so much, you're doing so much away from especially early, without personal interaction. You're tutoring online, you're doing this online, and there's nobody continually, the in-person learning, but I think is actually harder. I think online learning is much harder than in-person learning. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, but I think it's made them grow and have to, again, spend more time, prioritize, and grow if you're wanting to do well in school. So hopefully that will pay over in, concentration levels and self-evaluation of yourself of how to do things.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Jenny Streeter for the battalion.
Hi, Coach. I kind of wanted to follow up on what Mike Lucas asked you. And just, earlier you kind of told us that King was really doing well with picking up the offense. I was wondering if you could just touch on how King, Stowers, and Calzada are doing with meshing with this offense.
Something, I mean, like I say, in the meetings right now, I think all three guys, Haynes, like I said, from the day he got here, he's done it. Zach has really focused himself. A very talented guy who the calls now, the things he does, the questions he asks, the meetings, the walkthroughs. I think he has it now. I really do. Haynes does. And Eli Stowers has been amazing how quick he's picked it up. He was like Haynes when he walked in. And he's a guy, you tell him something, you give him something once, he keeps it right in there and understands it and has a not just memorizes it, but understands it. I think from an intelligence standpoint, learning standpoint, I think all three of those guys, I'm extremely pleased of knowledge of what to do, not only pass game, but run game and also protections. And the things you do and how understanding where where you're protected at, where you're not protected at, and how to adjust those things. And I've been, and I guess it's not cliche talk, just trying to talk good about all three guys. I think all three guys have done an outstanding job in that regard. And here I will say this: until you do that, you never know how good a player really is, because his physical skills can never be shown until his mental skills of learning and comprehending are truly, it to where it's become second nature and your physical skills can take over of how to play the game. And I think that's what I'm anxious to see in the spring. I'm really anxious to see these guys compete in the spring.
And then last question for you. I actually went to high school with Jaden Peavy, and I was kind of just wondering if you could touch on your expectations for him this season, especially with him.
Jaden's another guy who came back, I think, made an outstanding decision. And I think really grew as a player last year, and also leadership. Jaden has really come out of his shell. He's been a very good leader. I think his length and size as a 3 technique and an edge guy and a 4-eye guy, a 5 guy, and to be athletic because he was a basketball guy, I think he has grown tremendously. And we have Jaden should be right there playing tons of ball, starting leading and being a good leader on this football team. I think he's a very good football player.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Justin Woodard at KAGS, and then we have a follow from Sam Kahn. Justin,
Coach, hope you can hear me.
I tell you what, we're not hearing you. So we're going to go to Sam Kahn, and we'll kind of try to come back to Justin.
Sorry about that, Justin. It's not coming through, buddy.
Actually, too, with his dad being the coach at Lungs, hear me now?
Now I can. Actually can. Hello? No, I can't.
Justin, you there?
No, we're back to it. It's like every time.
Let's go to Sam Kahn. Let's go to Sam Kahn, and we'll try to come back to Justin.
Hey, Jimbo, following up on the quarterbacks, what would you say each of them does best physically when you look at all three of them? What are their best physical traits?
I think they all have to. I think there's a multitude of things, and I don't have any one thing they do well, because if there's only one thing they do well, they're going to have a hard time being successful. Because there's such a multitude of things it takes to be successful. And I'll wait and see. Like I say, I'm waiting to see what they all do well. Like Eli, I've never had in practice. I'm waiting to see, how much Haynes has grown, how much Zach has grown. So we'll wait and see.
And on the other side of the ball, defensively, when you consider how many guys you got back, how good do you feel about your depth and the ceiling for this group?
Well, I think depth, we got to continue to, you can never have enough depth and where you're at. And the ceiling will be determined by how prioritized they are on being dominant and taking over and being able to do that. And you have to have that mentality and thought process going in to be able to do that. So hopefully their fundamentals and basic things in which they do, they'll execute well enough. Because listen, the great defenses I've ever been a part of, I've been on teams, I've coached teams, been number 1 in the country in defense, number 1 in scoring defense, led everything, interceptions, turnovers, sacks, all that. The one thing all those great defenses did, they did ordinary things better than anybody else. It wasn't spectacular things. It was the ordinary day-to-day things and day-to-day plays that they made consistently, which allowed them to be successful. And they had one mentality. The other team isn't scoring, and we're going to put as much of our physicality on you as we possibly can.
Thank you.
All right, let's try to go to Justin again, see how this goes.
Highway 21 is not my friend driving back from San Antonio. I apologize, Coach.
It's all right.
What's your expectations for pro day, given there was no NFL combine this year? How do you hope the guys perform on Tuesday?
Well, I hope they perform very well, because I mean, they're getting a shot. I mean, that's what they've worked their whole life for. And hopefully that, like I tell them, it's just like the game. They don't look at the scoreboard. Let your preparation and what you do daily and your work habits coming up. If you've put the work in, you've done it right, you'll perform well. And you can't worry about those things. Let your natural instincts and your day-to-day habits you've created over time work hard, and I think they'll have good days. I think that we have a lot of guys that will do very well, in my opinion.
And quick follow-up on Kellen's Senior Bowl. I know it was back in February, but did you get a glimpse of what he was able to do, and how much do you think he helped himself?
I think he helped himself greatly, because I think when you say, film is one thing. Meeting a guy, seeing a guy, and this, not only that, his personality. How does he learn? How does he communicate? How does he interact with other people on the team? How does he deal with when you're teaching him something? How quick does he pick it up? And if he doesn't pick it up, how does he react to that? And if he has failures in practice, which you can't see all the time, how does he react to those? How does he react to the teammates around him who don't do their job, which affects his job? There's so many things as a quarterback and the interactions there that I think that can't be. You can't get opinion on it until you actually see it in person. And everything I've heard, he did a great job at that. And I think his knowledge of the game, I think what we do offensively, like I just had a conversation with him not too long ago. He said he felt so comfortable going in with just because of whether it's called the same thing or not, but the schemes and what your quarterback's required to do at the line of scrimmage and how much it is. And a lot of guys, it doesn't translate from college to pro, because they don't do things in college that translate to the pro game. And what are quarterbacks required to do just from calling a play, organizing things, how the check system's set up, to setting protections, to runs, and how much you have to do at the line of scrimmage before the plays, the ball's even snapped. So he said he felt very good on those things. He says interviews have went well, and hopefully I'm hearing, hope we keep doing some good things. He keeps working and he gets drafted very high.
Thank you, Coach, as always.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with a couple of follow-ups, one from Travis, another from Brent.
If I can get one more. So with what you did in the fall, testing and COVID kind of stuff aside, is there anything that you learned or changed how you set up practice or the way that you train that you're kind of carrying over into the spring this year that maybe you were taught or you learned through the crazy year that we had this last year?
Well, I mean, expect the unexpected, which you always say, but you definitely did here. Don't let things bother you. Go with the flow a little more and how what you can control and control what you can control. But I think one of the things we learned, I think you'll see it again in this off season, hopefully going into fall camp, that I think a longer camp now in spring, it's not longer, but because we have days off, and I think it allows you to be able to have teaching days in between. I think hopefully that carries over into the fall, that I think a longer camp, not more practices, but a longer camp with more days for meeting days and off days for kids, not only for their physical ability and, control. I think it helps concussions and their physical bodies and everything, but also them learning what to do and how to do it and being able to show the film and teach, I think I really like the way those things went in the fall.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. And Brent, wrap us up.
Along those lines, it does seem like a lot more things are getting back to normal, on the school front and things like that.
Mhm.
So remember some opposing coaches talked about how loud Kyle Field was, even at 25,000 or what have you.
I'll wait till they get it full.
And I was going to ask you how much you're looking forward to the spring game, to having fans back. And I know it's still going to be limited, but the fact that it is somewhat returning to normal in that front.
Well, I'm anxious to say, because didn't there something come out today say we set the limits or whatever? You can set your own limits or something. Did that come out today? Am I off or am I on that? I thought I read that, but hey, the more the merrier. I'd be glad to have everybody back, see everybody, let them come see the guys, and the guys really appreciate them being there and the support they have. And I think it's one of the great experiences of being here at Kyle Field, to have the support you have, and I'm anxious to get them all back.
You apparently keep up with the news more than I do, Jimbo. Thanks.
No, I don't. Someone told me that.
Okay.
I just got hope I can trust the information.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank you, guys.